Good morning, Mr. and Ms. Campbell, and thank you so much for taking the time to drive down to my office, sit down with me, and talk about your financial plan. I also want to thank you for just entrusting me to guide you through this financial planning process. I know that both of you have been very busy over the past few months thinking about your retirement, and I can assure you that over the past several weeks I have been busy working on putting together a plan that is going to set both of you up for success. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I would actually like to start with talking about risk management and insurance. As both of you know from our first meeting, having adequate insurance policies in place are very important to the overall financial planning process. I know this is also probably top of mind for you right now as well, because of the fact that you did have a recent loss in your kitchen on the primary residence. So let's go ahead and start there. One of the questions that you posed for me was, what is the amount of that claim check that you can expect to receive from your insurance provider? So I went ahead and did some calculations, and what I looked at was the amount of coverage that you currently have on the home. That amount is $600,000. You also have a coinsurance requirement of 80%, and your deductible is $1,000. Now, also keep in mind that the fair market value of your home is approximately $900,000. Now, my calculations provided that you should expect or anticipate to get a claim check in the amount of $11,500. So one of the questions that you're probably thinking about right now is, why is the claim check less than the amount of the claim, right? So I can actually walk you through how we came up with that number, and then also how the insurance company looks at these coverages. So what I did was I took the amount of coverage that you currently have on the home, $600,000, and what we do is divide that by your coinsurance requirement, so 0.80, times the current fair market value of the home, which is $900,000. That gives us a figure of 0.83. 0.83 representing approximately 83%. So 83% of that claim, which the insurance company is going to cover. So if you take that 0.833 and you multiply that by the $15,000 loss, what we come up with is a figure of $12,500. Now, we take that $12,500, we of course subtract the deductible that you have to pay, and that is how we come up with that amount of $11,500. And again, that is the amount that you can expect to receive from your insurance provider. Now, what I'd like to talk about now is my recommendations to ensure that you have adequate coverage on both of your homes, so your primary residence and the vacation home, and also to ensure that in the future we can prevent you getting less than what the value of the home is in the event of a catastrophic or total loss, or at least get what you have sent into the insurance company as your claim. Okay, so my recommendation is that we actually increase your dwelling coverage on both the primary residence and the vacation home, which you have HO3 policies on both of those. I would actually recommend increasing those to their current market values. So $900,000 would be what you would want to increase the policy to on the primary residence. And then for the vacation home, we would actually want to increase the coverage to $540,000. Okay. Now, keep in mind that that coinsurance requirement, basically what that is meant to do is the home needs to be insured for at least up to that coinsurance requirement in order to ensure that claims of this nature, like the kitchen fire that just happened, are insured, and that your home is covered up to 100% of the current market value. So that's something that we would want to do, again, to not only protect you from small claims such as this, but also to protect you in the event that there is a large catastrophic or even total loss. Not something that we want, but also something that we always want to prepare for. In addition to that recommendation, one of the things I'm anticipating happening is by increasing your coverage on both the primary residence and the vacation home, you can probably expect to see an increase in your premium. But there are things that we can do to help save you a little bit of money on that. So what I would suggest in this situation is actually that you look at your deductibles. So currently you have a $1,000 deductible on the primary residence, and again you have a $500 deductible on the vacation home. Now, what I would recommend is at the very least raising the deductible on the vacation home to $1,000 to match your primary residence. Now, keep in mind that in the event that you do have a loss and you need to pay out that deductible again, I would definitely recommend taking that out of the joint account that you have invested in the money market fund. I know you said that both of you are very comfortable with approximately $60,000 for an emergency fund. So being that account has $120,000 in it, we can actually earmark half of that or dedicate that to your emergency fund. So $1,000 is what we would want to raise those deductibles to at the very least, but we can go up even further. So we can even look at doing $1,500 or even $2,000 if you are comfortable with doing that. Now, keep in mind with making this recommendation, that is also keeping in mind the fact that we are going to earmark $60,000 out of that joint account for emergencies like this. One other thing I wanted to touch on this is obviously I'm here to make recommendations and happy to talk about your different insurance policies, but in the event that you're looking for another professional to run this by, or you maybe have a specific insurance agent that you work with, or if you're looking for recommendations from me on that, I'm certainly happy to provide you some names of professionals that can talk you through some of those different options and what those premiums, different premiums would look like. So please let me know if I can help in that regard. All right, so moving right along here. The second insurance related topic that I wanted to address was life insurance. So looking at your current policy information, I do see that John has a policy. So John, you have a term life policy, and it looks like your annual premium that you're paying for that is approximately $2,000. I also see that the face amount on that is $450,000, and it looks like the beneficiaries are your two sons. You have it set up so it would be split evenly between the two of them. Now, generally speaking, life insurance looks to provide policy beneficiaries with the present value of future earnings of the insured in the event of premature death. That's basically what life insurance is earmarked for, basically what it's meant to cover. Since both of you are looking to retire within the next few months, my recommendation would actually be to discontinue John's policy, which I have specifically outlined in this plan. Now, by doing that, you're going to save that $2,000 per year that you're currently spending on the premium, and I feel very comfortable with that. As the policy is set up for that money to go to your sons, John. And knowing that your sons are grown, they both have good jobs, families of their own, it sounds to me like they would be able to take care of themselves in the event of your premature death. Now, there are some alternatives to this approach, and the one that I would like to talk with you about is the opportunity to change the beneficiary on this. So one of the questions you had asked about in our previous meeting was providing income for Linda in the event of your death, John. So one of the options that we have, depending on what the term of your life policy is we could actually change that beneficiary, the primary beneficiary on that policy, to Linda, and make your two sons secondary beneficiaries. Now, that would accomplish a couple of different things. So if you weren't looking to get rid of the policy, or that's something that you did not want to do, this is certainly another alternative to my recommendation. So again, by updating the beneficiary to Linda, the primary beneficiary to Linda, and including your sons as secondary, you would ensure that in the event of your death, Linda has some income and also some additional sources to fund her retirement. And then also you would have your sons still designated as secondary beneficiaries in the event that something were to happen to Linda. Okay. Now, I believe that our time is up. So just wanted to say that really enjoyed talking with both of you today. And I would love to set up a second meeting so we can talk through the rest of these recommendations. So what I'll do is I'll actually walk with you over to the front desk and work with my secretary there, and we can go ahead and set up some time for you guys to come in again, and we can go over the rest of the recommendations.